Is it possible that after the 2025 season, Vance Joseph could end up getting a head coaching job somewhere else? Well, according to Bleacher Report, it is entirely possible. Welcome in Broncos country to the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. My name is Moose, and before we dive into anything surrounding our defensive coordinator, can you taste it? It's right there, right on the edge of your seat. 37K is right within our grasp. Only 157 subscribers needed. So, if you haven't already, it's completely free. It'll always be free. Hit that subscribe button for free Broncos content all season long. Okay, let's talk. Vance Joseph. I'm not going to lie. When I was reading this article, I was expecting to see a lot of offensive coordinators because it's an offensive-driven league, and Vance Joseph's name came up, and I said, well, I've got to read the article now. And according to Bleacher Report, this makes a lot of sense, at least to me. They specifically were talking about Vance Joseph's time as the Broncos head coach back in 2017 and 2018, and I think we all would like to forget that debacle. But since he's been the defensive coordinator, there has been a lot of success. Here's what Bleacher Report had to say. Between 2017 and 2018, Joseph was the head coach of the Denver Broncos. We remember. But the team fired him after 2 years, during which he had an 11-21 record. Remember, he led that club during the dark years at quarterback. Trevor Siemian, Brock Osweiler, and Case Keenum. I'm sure you guys remember that as well. Since that head coaching flop, the 52-year-old defensive coordinator has fielded top 10 scoring defenses in 3 of the previous 5 years. Last year, under his tutelage, the Broncos defense allowed the 3rd fewest points and ranked 7th in total yards. So what do we know about our beloved VJ? Well, we know that his time as the Broncos head coach was tough. But we also know that since he's returned, it's been really, really impressive. Mind you, there have been some bumps along the way. If you guys remember the Miami Dolphins 70-point debacle, I think we'd all like to forget that one. But in 2024, led the league in defense, sacks that is, and second in pressure rate. So what does that tell you? Vance is aggressive. He loves to blitz. That's his bread and butter. And now, finally, the Broncos have the personnel to have success in his style of defense. And don't be fooled about this, right? We're all smart football fans. If the Broncos go out and have another really successful defensive season, Joseph's going to get calls immediately. And it's going to be more than one. I can tell you straight off the bat, 5 teams right now in the offseason that have head coaches on the hot seat. And that's just the offseason. We're not even talking about halfway through. The Titans with Brian Callahan, granted he just got there. The Giants with Brian Daboll, he's on his last leg. Kevin Stefanski can't afford another losing season. Dave Canales hasn't done jack since he got to Carolina. And Mike McDaniel without Tua is sub 500. So all 5 of these teams, I'm sure, their owners and GMs have come to the coach and said, time's ticking, show us some success. Otherwise, you're hitting the door. Now, I'm sure you're wondering who were the other coordinators listed on this article. Well, I'll tell you. Joe Brady, offensive coordinator from the Bills. Brian Flores, Minnesota Vikings defensive coordinator. Josh Grizzard, the Buccaneers offensive coordinator. Cliff Kingsbury, who I think is going to be a head coach next year. Matt Nagy, who had his stint with the Chicago Bears, but is currently the offensive coordinator who doesn't do much with the Chiefs. Steve Spagnuolo is the only one out of this entire list, by the way, that I could see being loyal to Andy Reid and not going anywhere. The other 7 most likely will field calls immediately. But make no mistake about it either. Vance Joseph is one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. In fact, him and Brian Flores, I believe, are 2 of the best. 1 and 2, you can throw them in any order you want. I really don't have any, qualms if you put Vance at 2 or Brian at 1 or vice versa. But I will say this, these 2 have something in common. They both love to blitz at a very high rate. And both of these defenses succeed with their blitz packaging because of how strong the secondary is. And I think the Broncos secondary got even better after drafting Jahdae Barron. So you are going to see, at least barring any injuries, a very successful 2025 Denver Broncos defense. So let me ask you this question. Kind of a way too early prediction. Do you think Vance Joseph will leave after the 2025 season? Yes or no? I can't give you my full answer right now. It's too far off. But let me tell you this. By week 9, if the Broncos are number 1 in scoring defense and number 1 in sacks and number 3 in this and number 2 in that, my answer is probably going to be yes. And that's just the way it is. Coming up. I can't believe this is even a thing. I was searching for another news story to pair with this rumor one that we talked about with Vance Joseph, and the Chargers Sports Illustrated page completely disrespected RJ Harvey. And I have to tell you what these guys said, because to keep it PG, it's a load of baloney. But before we do that, we have got a few more days on this incredible deal, my friends. If you want to sport the best Broncos Nike T Performance t-shirt, great for working out or just going around town in the summer, use this link that I've put in the comments and description of today's video. Super simple for you. chatsports.com/Broncos T. We already have sold a couple of these. I'm looking to sell a couple of more. Help me show my bosses that I have got what it takes to be a top-notch salesman and a top-notch host. Combine them together right now. chatsports.com/Broncos T in the comments and description of today's video. So this article, I don't even know if you want to call it that, this slander piece, if you will. The Chargers Sports Illustrated power ranked all of the AFC West running backs. And I was like, ooh, okay. Got me to click in. Let's check it out. And here are the top 4 that they give you. Do you notice anything? No RJ Harvey on this list, but the 2 other rookies are definitely on this list. So why not Harvey? In fact, I'll give you one better. They don't even list him as an honorable mention. That's crazy. Pacheco at 4, Dobbins at 3, Hampton at 2, and Jeanty at 1. Wild work. Considering Hampton and Jeanty, just like Harvey, have not stepped foot on an NFL field yet. But I did do this a couple of videos ago. I went back and I predicted their 2025 rookie stats. So you can take a look at these on screen. I do think that Ashton Jeanty statistically will have the best rushing season out of these 3. He's the best runner out of the 3. There's no doubt. But I don't think RJ Harvey's that far behind. Hampton, believe it or not, has probably the best chance to not do well, considering Najee Harris is your RB1, and we know Jim Harbaugh loves his power backs. Hampton's a little bit more of an agile version of Najee Harris. I digress. I do want to focus in on Ashton Jeanty, though, because this article, while it is a Chargers Sports Illustrated article, was glazing Ashton Jeanty. And probably because of the hype, Heisman runner-up. But here's what they had to say, and I quote, "Selected at number 6 overall, Ashton Jeanty is going to be the focal point of the Raiders' offense and should be. No arguments there. During his final season at Boise State, Jeanty ran for 2,600 yards and had 29 touchdowns, video game-like numbers. He was second in Heisman voting, should have won, and has the tools to be a difference maker." This is where I have the issue. He's not only the number 1 in the AFC West, but if used correctly, can threaten to become one of the best in the entire league before long. What? Timeout. How can you rank him number 1 overall if you haven't even seen him play? What if he goes out there and sucks? Like, first 10 weeks, he's averaging 30 yards a game, can't get past a defensive line to save his life, looks slower and not nearly as quick and agile as you predicted him to be. Like, what are we doing here? And by the way, stylistically, he and Hampton play a very different game than Harvey. I realize that the resurgence of the running back position is going back to its roots, where you see, a more power approach, kind of like what Saquon Barkley was able to show last year. But it is a 2025 quarterback-driven league. And that means that the running back position has changed. It's morphed into something completely different. It's more suited to fit guys like Alvin Kamara, which I believe RJ Harvey can absolutely become. He's a better runner than Alvin Kamara already. But if you can maximize his potential to be a pass catcher, line him up in the slot, have him go out in the flat, use him on different packages, you could absolutely see RJ Harvey make a Pro Bowl before those 2 any day. Any day. And it's not going to be long before Harvey becomes RB1. I'm just throwing it out there. Dobbins is on a 1-year rental, $5 million deal. It's pennies on the dollar. He's there to help mentor RJ Harvey while also still getting some snaps, playing the sport that he loves. And would it be nice to see J.K. Dobbins go out, perform so well that he gets another contract with the Broncos? Sure, everything is nice in theory. Truthfully, this is RJ Harvey's team, at least from the running back side of things. J.K. Dobbins is here to help guide him, push that envelope along, make the process quicker and easier to understand. He's a veteran. Harvey's a rookie. But I think very, very shortly you will see the emergence of what RJ Harvey is going to be. And that, in my opinion, at his ceiling is a top 10 running back in the league. So I've asked you this question. I'm going to ask it again. Let's make this a 2-part question right here. How about that? We'll do something slightly different. Right now, year 1, pick a running back. Jeanty, Hampton, Harvey. If I had to put my money on it, I'd go Jeanty year 1. But if in the next 3 to 5 years, that's the second part of the question, I'd go RJ Harvey all day, twice on Sunday. That is going to do it for our episode. But remember, we're this close to hitting our next milestone. I can already smell, taste all 5 senses on that 37K. So do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. It's free. And as always, be cool.